Kraken M22 is an all-in-one 120mm liquid cooler. Because the M22 is a closed-loop system, you'll never need to add or replace the coolant. In the box you will find the Kraken M22 with a pre-installed Intel retention bracket, a second bracket for AMD sockets, a universal backplate, screws, spacers, thumb springs, washers, a mini USB cable, thermal paste, and an NZXT Air P 120mm fan. All you would need for a new installation is a Phillips head screwdriver. If you're replacing an existing CPU cooler, you'll need rubbing alcohol and a clean, lint-free cloth to remove any previous applied thermal paste. The universal backplate is used with most Intel AMD CPU sockets. Locate the 4 standoff screws and 4 M2 screws, which will be the smaller of the shorter screws. The bracket will have a recess on one side, which will allow the M2 screws to be flush with the bracket. Locate the installation location for the CPU socket you have, and install the 4 standoff screws. Be sure not to over-tighten, or you may damage the backplate. For installation on Intel socket 115X CPUs, attach the standoff screws at these points. And for any AMD installations, attach the standoff screws here or here based on your CPU. Insert the backplate onto the back of the motherboard and add the provided spacers. If there is thermal paste on the CPU from a previously installed fan, use a few drops of rubbing alcohol and a clean cloth to remove the old thermal paste. If you're installing the M22 on an AMD CPU, you'll need to change the mounting bracket. Pull on the sides of the current bracket to slide it out of the slots on the pump. Then gently slide the AMD bracket in its place. Apply a pea-sized drop of provided thermal paste on the center of the CPU. Align the holes in the retention bracket with the standoffs and lower the M22 onto the CPU. It's best to keep the pump head as level as you can so the thermal paste spreads evenly. Using the plastic washers and supply thumb nuts with springs, secure the Kraken to the motherboard. Do not over-tighten the thumb screws or you may damage the CPU and the motherboard. The springs should not be fully compressed. We recommend mounting the radiator in one of 2 places. To mount the radiator in the back of your rig, attach the NZXT Air P fan to the radiator with a 30mm screw and metal washers, making sure the airflow on the fan shows air moving into the radiator and out of the back. Then use the 5mm screws with metal washers on the outside of the case to mount the radiator to your system. If mounting to the front of your case, attach the NZXT Air P fan to the radiator, making sure the airflow arrow on the fan shows air pulling air from the radiator and into your PC. Then use the 5mm screws with the metal washers to mount the radiator. Connect the 3-pin pump power cable, which is attached to the radiator, to the 4-pin CPU fan header, all-in-one header, or water pump header on the motherboard. Then connect the mini USB cable to the Kraken and an internal USB 2.0 header on the motherboard. Finally, connect the Air P fan into the CPU fan header or the system fan header. Turn on your PC and download CAM at the camwebapp.com. Once installed, you'll use CAM to set up the RGB lighting effects and monitor your PC, including the CPU temperature. Thank you for watching Builder's Workshop. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more installation videos and be sure to visit NZXT.com for more information about our products.
The all-new Kraken series features the most advanced controls ever to be included in an all-in-one liquid cooler. The Kraken series features a new pump that is both quieter and capable of displacing more liquid than previous generations. With reinforced extended tubing, fine nylon sleeves are added to strengthen the rubber tubing. As an added protective layer, it shields your Kraken cooler tubes from potential damage during handling. The Kraken series includes numerous customizable presets and reactive modes to respond to changes in system conditions. To install a Kraken series, move all 4 sliders in the backplate to the correct position depending on your motherboard. Install the backplate to the rear of the motherboard. Install the 4 standoffs to the front of the motherboard. Place the pump with a retention bracket onto the CPU. Connect the fans to the radiator. Mount the radiator to the case. Connect the power pump cable to the pump. Connect the first fan connector on the power cable with 4 pins. Connect the power pump cable to the CPU power connector. Connect the SATA power cable to the SATA power cable on the power supply. Connect the USB cable from the pump to an available USB 2.0 connector on the motherboard. Turn on your PC and download CAM at camwebapp.com. Thank you for watching Builder's Workshop and for installing the NZXT Kraken liquid cooler. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more installation videos and visit nzxt.com for more information about our products.
The all-new NZXT H1 provides a beautifully small vertical chassis while maintaining full-size GPU compatibility for incredible performance in a small footprint. The building experience is streamlined with pre-routed cable channels and an integrated PSU and AIO liquid cooler. The dual-chamber exhaust layout maintains superior cooling, the CPU and GPU providing each with a dedicated air source. The toolless SSD tray and integrated riser card are incredibly simple to install. In addition to pre-routed cables, their motherboard I/O faces down, routing all cables to the bottom of the case for a clean, simplified appearance. The dual-chamber airflow is thermally designed to allow the CPU, GPU, and PSU to pull in fresh air and exhaust hot air without affecting temperatures of neighboring components. Remove the glass panel and back mesh panel by pulling away from the bottom of the case. Remove the case shroud by sliding it towards the top of the case. Remove the two screws holding the hinged radiator mount. There are arrows to help indicate which screws to remove. Once removed, the radiator can be rotated out of the way. Remove the cable cover. The cable cover is a plate of metal in front of the PSU on the front of the case. There's a ball joint holding it onto the frame. Once the joint is popped out, you can slide it out and away. If you haven't already, seat your CPU in the motherboard processor socket and install any M.2 SSDs you have. If you're using an LGA or Intel style board, assemble and use the included backplate. If using an AM4 socket, keep the latch points and AMD included backplate. Install the motherboard I/O shield if necessary, then install the motherboard and secure it with the 4 standoff screws. If you have any 2.5-inch SSDs, slide them into the SSD trays underneath the PSU. The SSDs should click when they are secure in the tray. Once you've installed your SSDs, screw in the holding piece in front of your SSDs for added security. Plug in the SATA power cable and SATA data cables to your SSDs if necessary. Begin to plug in necessary cables to the motherboard. 24-pin, CPU power cable, USB 3.1 cable, USB Type-C if applicable, front panel headers, HD audio header, and any SSD data cables you may have. Plug the riser card connector to the PCIe 16X slot on your motherboard. Install the AIO liquid pump onto your motherboard. If using an AM4 bracket, please swap the bracket on the AIO to the appropriate latch style bracket. Ensure that you install the liquid pumps so the tube connectors are facing the DIMM slots. Once the liquid pump is secured, plug the pump header into the AIO/pump fan header and the radiator fan to the CPU fan header. Install RAM sticks to the motherboard. Close the radiator bracket and secure it with the 2 screws on points indicated on the arrows. Remove the 2 thumb screws from the frame, install your graphics card, and secure it. Plug the PCIe power cables into your GPU. Ensure your PSU power switch is on before placing the panels back on. Stand the case up, then slide the shroud back over the case. Place the 2 panels back onto the case. Plug in your peripherals, video cables, and power cable. The compact vertical design of the NZXT H1 provides a small spatial footprint while maintaining support for most full-size GPUs on the market. Whether the user's space is small or they simply prefer an understated, smaller chassis in their battle station, the H1 maximizes desk real estate without sacrificing graphical power. To learn more about the NZXT H1, please visit nzxt.com. And to always stay updated on NZXT products, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Introducing the new Kraken X and the all-new Kraken Z. The NZXT Krakens are a must-have for any build, providing high-performance liquid cooling, intuitive installation, and greater visual effects and customization. The new Kraken X series maintains the customizable lighting effects and quiet performance of previous generations and adds a new high-performance pump as well as an NZXT RGB channel for even more lighting and RGB fan options. With a redesigned cap and larger infinity mirror ring LED, the new Kraken X delivers an amazing experience in RGB liquid cooling, backed by a 6-year warranty. The all-new Kraken Z series lets you personalize your all-in-one liquid cooler like never before. Through CAM's unique software interface, you can do more than simply retune settings. You can now display your favorite images and animated GIFs or CAM system information, allowing for total customization. The Kraken Z series provides superior performance in liquid cooling, simple installation, and a look that is uniquely your own. For Intel Socket LGA 1150X platform, install the Intel backplate on the rear of the motherboard as oriented here. Ensure the sliders fit into the mounting holes. The backplate of the CPU socket will fit within the cutout of the Intel backplate. From the front of the motherboard, install the 4 standoffs. For Intel Socket LGA 2011 and 2066, use the standoffs provided and install them onto the motherboard's backplate. For AMD Socket AM4, remove the stock AMD mounting bracket and keep the original backplate on the rear of the motherboard. Then install the 4 AMD standoffs from the front of the motherboard. To change the retention bracket, press and hold the Intel retention bracket firmly towards the pump and rotate it counterclockwise to release. Then install the AMD retention bracket onto the pump. The logo orientation of the Kraken X can be adjusted using the rotatable cap. The pump cap has a rotatable upper section with 12 locking points. Depending on your motherboard, you can orient the pump to fit your needs. The display orientation of the Kraken Z can be adjusted within CAM in 2 directions. For the best viewing angles, we recommend installing the Kraken Z with the tubes at a 3 o'clock orientation. The 90-degree counterclockwise orientation can be used if the tubes are installed at a 6 o'clock position. Simply click on Rotate Display within CAM once you have the Kraken installed. Place the pump within the retention bracket onto the CPU. Ensure the standoffs go through the holes on the bracket and apply the thumb nuts diagonally before tightening them securely. For mounting the radiator directly onto the case, install the fans to the radiator first using the 30mm fan screws and washers. Use the 5mm case screws and washers to mount the radiator to the case or radiator bracket. For mounting in which the fans fit between the radiator and chassis, use the 30mm fan screws and washers for mounting. The long fan screws will mount the radiator through the fans. For Kraken X, connect the fans to your motherboard or a fan controller. For Kraken Z, connect the fan cable to the first fan connector on the included breakout cable set with 4 pins. Use the remaining fan connectors as needed. Connect the 3-pin connector on the breakout cable set to the 4-pin CPU fan or AIO pump connector on the motherboard. You may need to disable fan fail warning within the motherboard BIOS if CPU fan is unused. Connect the SATA power cable. Connect the mini USB cable from the pump to an available USB 2.0 internal connector on the motherboard. Connect compatible NZXT RGB accessories to the RGB LED connector on the breakout cable. Be sure to check the orientation of the RGB connectors, making sure pin 1 is aligned on both connectors. Once you have set up your Kraken, turn on your PC and proceed to download and install the NZXT CAM software to enable Kraken controls. To learn more about the NZXT Krakens, visit nzxt.com. And to always stay updated on NZXT products, subscribe to our channel.
The NZXT Kraken G12 allows you to quickly mount any Kraken series liquid cooler onto a graphics card. It delivers a 40% increase in cooling capacity over stock cooling and features a newly designed bracket with an easier installation process versus the Kraken G10. Plus, the Kraken G12 is also compatible with more than 30 liquid coolers on the market. Remove the original cooling module from your graphics card. Install a fan with the label facing the GPU bracket using the fan screws. Attach the 2 foam pieces at the corners while making sure the foams will not interfere with the components of the graphics card. Identify the correct mounting holes on the GPU bracket and prepare the required retention brackets for your graphics card. Mount the retention brackets using screws and washers to prevent risk of damage to your graphics card. Referring to your liquid cooler's instructions, Remove the Intel and AMD retention bracket if it is already installed. Orient the pump's tubes along the side with cable tie points. Pass the pump through the GPU bracket grooves. Rotate the pump until it aligns with the GPU brackets and attach. Using the thumb screws with spring, install the GPU bracket onto the graphics card. Use the included cable ties to manage the tubes and cables along the trench with tie points. Connect the 3-pin fan connector to the liquid cooler's fan power or to an open fan header on the motherboard. Follow the liquid cooler's instructions and complete all necessary connections to complete the installation of your graphics card. This can include pump power, USB, and software installation. Thank you for watching Builder's Workshop and for installing the Kraken G12 GPU mounting kit. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more how-to videos and learn more about our products at NZXT.com. The NZXT E-Series ATX power supplies are the latest addition to our product lines. Available in 850, 650, and 500 watt configurations, our fully modular E-Series PSUs offer digital voltage and temperature monitoring for precise, real-time information about your PSU, including uptime, wattage by rail, and temperature. Each power supply will come with power connectors, a power cable, 4 mounting screws, and a bag to store unused connectors. To install your NZXT E-Series PSU, identify which power connectors you will need for your build. You will most likely need the 24-pin ATX power connector, the 4+4-pin CPU power connector, and based on the needs of your graphics card, the PCIe power connector. Your drives, fan, and other peripherals will need power as well. Lastly, connect the mini USB cable. Connect these cables to your PSU. Identify where the PSU mounts inside your PC case. Most PSUs are mounted on bottom rear. Next, identify the orientation of the PSU. If your case has open venting on the floor panel, then mount your PSU with the fan side down towards the venting. This way, air can flow into the PSU and out the back. If the bottom of the case is closed with no venting, then mount the PSU with the fan facing up towards the CPU, so the fan has space to draw air in. Do not block the airflow of the PSU. Mount your PSUs using the included 4 mounting screws. If this is a brand new build, make sure your I/O jumpers are connected properly to the motherboard. Route your cables in your case and make the necessary connections. The 24-pin to the motherboard, the 4+4 pin to the motherboard, the PCIe connector if your graphics card requires one, and the rest of your peripherals. Be sure to connect the mini USB cable to an available USB 2.0 header on your motherboard. We recommend leaving cable management to the very end once you know your system boots. Once secure, make sure the switch in the rear is on the line symbol and not the circle. Once you are up and running, download CAM to access all the features available in our E-Series PSUs, including power on calculations and real-time wattage figures on your power draws. Inside CAM, you can see real-time graphs of power consumption, your CPU, GPU, and other peripherals that are attached. The power on shows the total number of hours the PSU was powered on, and these are the output voltages for the 3 different rails. In the Advanced tab, we see more details and the ability to enable multi-rail OCP. OCP stands for Overcurrent Protection. When OCP is enabled, you get both the master protection for the PSU and the protection for each output rail. So each component is protected and you can control the threshold of which this trips. The NZXT E-Series PSUs are available now at all authorized retail locations. Thanks for watching Builder's Workshop. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos on our products and be sure to visit nzxt.com for more information. The new compact mid-tower H500 and H500i are the newest additions to the H-Series line of PC cases. The H-Series showcases NZXT's vision for modern PC building. For both the H500 and H500i, we've updated the tempered glass panel, removing the 4 screws from the front of the glass and moving to a single captive thumb screw attached to the rear of the case. The H500i includes the NZXT Smart Device, providing Hue Plus and Grid Plus functionality. This includes preset and custom lighting modes using our pre-installed RGB LED strips with individually addressable RGB. The NZXT smart device also includes digital fan control for both voltage regulated and PWM fans, and full integration with CAM. The H500i also adds an integrated vertical GPU mount. Removing the vertical GPU mounting bracket cover, insert your own riser cable into a PCIe slot. Install the GPU on the bracket, and then connect the riser to your GPU. For best cooling performance, install a 120 or 140 mm fan as an intake on the front of the H500i. Both models include several additional builder-friendly features. Like the rest of the H series, we've simplified the installation of the cooling fans, and all-in-one and custom loop water cooling using a removable bracket, allowing you to install your fans and radiator to the bracket outside the case. Be sure to install the fans and radiator on the inner side of the bracket, leaving space for the air intake for best thermal performance. There are two 2.5-inch drive trays located behind the motherboard. Gently squeeze the quick release to remove the tray. Install your drive, and then use the quick release to put the tray back into the system. The 2.5-inch drive tray can also be mounted on the top of the PSU shroud. A 3.5-inch drive tray is located under the PSU shroud near the front of the case. Remove the tray using a screwdriver, install your drive, connect your cables, and then return the drive tray to the system. The H500 and H500i were designed with an added angle on the motherboard tray and enough clearance to allow the installation of all cables you need. Plug in the PSU cables you'll need for your build. Then install the PSU into the chassis and secure it into the chassis with the provided screws. Once everything has been installed and your system is working, route your cables using the patent-pending cable management system, securing them using the installed Velcro strips, keeping your build neat and tidy. Thanks for watching Builder's Workshop. Be sure to subscribe to NZXT YouTube channel for more videos like this. Visit nzxt.com for additional resources on building your own PC and for more information about our products.